CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 32 of the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time, we found out where Natsume, his address is, and we basically went up to the second floor. We talked with his landlord, John Garrideb, and then we went down to his apartment, and then we searched around. We looked around, we saw his arrangement of books and cats and crumpled paper, and there's one object that I noticed that we didn't check. This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall here. It looks very robust. I wonder what it's for. There's a slot for inserting coins here, too.
Ah, I believe that is a gas meter, Mr. Naruto.
A gas meter?
Yes, it seems that there's a piped gas in this district, which consumers pay for by putting coins in the meter.
So if we were to put a coin in the slot,
that would be enough gas to use the lights and get the gas fire for the whole night.
So if you're too poor to have a coin, then you're going to have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold. Pretty much.
That's right, as would a rich man who only carried crisp white notes.
Brr, London is a scary place. Luckily, Natsume has... Well, in that case, that's when you start using the books to basically keep yourself warm. Okay, now... Wait, was there something else that I missed? No, there was nothing else. Good, good, good. I just want to be sure. Yeah, because that box doesn't have anything. Nope. So let's move out. Head to the Garrideb room. Because we're going to be getting another instance of some good fun. Okay. Okay, can we check around the room? I could have sworn that Sherlock would have been here. Really, I know for a fact that we have a deduction with Sherlock. But I guess my memory is off. Okay, we didn't check the big missile, so let's check the big missile. Are those motor shells? They're enormous.
Ah, I hadn't noticed. What are they doing here?
Ah, those old things. Couple of little rounds I accidentally fired into the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of a colorful regiment folklore, that incident. You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells? Well, I wouldn't say deliberately exactly. They're only scrap iron after all. Usually just thrown away, I believe. But you never know when things might come useful. Do you? Useful for what exactly? For starting a war against the rival neighbors who compete with me for tenants. Yes, well, let's just say a tenant doesn't decide to pay their rent. Then I come out with the cavalry and the cannons. Joan here did manage to knock one in the Joan here did manage to knock one of the bally things on my foot the other day while she was dusting.
Oh no!
Hadn't shed tears since 1869 before then, you know? Maybe we consider throwing them away. Okay, anything? Anything? Come on! Don't do this to me, game! Okay, I checked the lie and I checked everything. Examine... Okay. We can't show them anything. Maybe we have to go back to the prison and check and basically present the note to Natsume. I did not look up a guy how to do this. Okay, we're getting something. That's good. 19th of February, local prison. Cell 9.
It seems that we can't meet with Mr. Natsume at the moment.
Oh.
He's being briefed about his appearance in court tomorrow, apparently.
Yeah, and then I could just imagine the rules of etiquette with basically Baroque Van Zieks. Basically, first rule, you cannot give eye contact with him. If a Nipponese gives eye contact to Baroque Van Zieks, he will punch them. He will go on a rampage. Okay. And then basically, you know that one pseudoscience where they had basically the skull measuring? Okay. Okay, I'm looking it up, sorry. Yeah. Yes, phrenology. Yeah, I can imagine I can just imagine basically Baroque Van Zieks comes out with his phrenology kit and starts measuring Natsume's skull, basically for his notes. I see. Yes, the trial is only 1 day away. Okay, sorry. Alright then, let's come back later.
Yes.
I really hope he's not answering any more questions with inappropriate text answers like, yes, I do! The red white answer. Briar Road. Okay. Yeah, we can't present anything. Actually, let's check the note. Okay, the picture of Monsieur Lecoq, a meal for Gaboriot, Canterbury yearnings. Okay, let's move around. Holmes is sweet. Iris is nowhere to be found. Everyone's just gone. We checked everything that this room has to offer, so... Oh yes, there's... When did he get here? I did not see him last episode.
Ah! Look, Mr. Naruto!
Aha! There he is! Where did he appear from?
He seems to be so engrossed in the pages of an old book.
I
hope you won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, you two, good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met?
Oh, Mr. Holmes, we were together on the SS Borya.
Yes, of course, the Borya. And let me see, what happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically, but you were of great help to us. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it?
Oh!
Well, you seem to remember something of it at least.
What honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Sherlock Holmes. This is Mr.
Oh, no, my dear madam. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain addict, which means to say that they are not there at all. Mr. Naruto and Mr. Susato. Try the other way around, Mr. Holmes. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short amount of time? I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pins them down beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. And meanwhile, Iris, she just writes a bunch of psychological books in secret. Basically, just the beautiful life of Holmesy. And just where she analyzes Holmes.
Last week, Holmesy picked up a shoe off the street and he put it on the shelf. He hasn't brought up anything about it, and I don't intend to bring it up either. I want to see how long it takes for him to talk about it. Mr. Holmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned.
Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Present. Ah, the receipt for the books our stooped Japanese friend purchased. I uncovered this yesterday morning. A marvelous find, wouldn't you agree? Oh yes, the work of a truly great detective. What a scatterbrained individual he must have been to have left that behind. Curiously, there was no mention of this publication on the receipt. Odd, when you consider how fascinating it is. You mean not everyone in London buys Rance magazine every time they visit a shop? Yes, odd indeed. And meanwhile, Ryuunosuke is like, there is hope for humanity.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how expertly do you slip that into the conversation?
Ah, I'm glad you agree. Detective stories can be great works of literature too, my dear fellow. Have you seen this, Mr. Holmes? Shh! I must have silence! It is of the first importance when I am in the throes of deduction that nothing irrelevant distracts me. Oh, sorry. Cloudy changes, to be fair, perhaps. You were in the throes of deducing the weather? Hey, Sherlock, he knows what works. He knows what works in the social circles. Mr. Naruto, please! Despite aspirations to the contrary, I am a professional. If I am to unleash my deductive powers on that trinket, I must ask for a sum of £3 in cash. Oh, I don't need you to make any deductions about it. I was just wondering if you might know. Mr. Naruto, as a professional, I insist that if I am to offer my opinion on that trinket, I must ask you for a sum of £3 in cash.
I believe Mr. Holmes has an eye on an expensive copy of the complete works of Shakespeare.
Yes, to stand on the stage amid rapturous applause it has long been a dream of mine, as you know. I literally had no idea. Anything new? Nothing new. Mr. Natsume's arrest. We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Holmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume. Yes, I believe it was the name of rather along those lines.
But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little?
I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean.
What?
I can't believe he was looking Susato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. Oh, how? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stooped compatriots of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request to me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of the man seen fleeing the crime scene. Ah, a man seen fleeing. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the street scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe that there's a receipt here somewhere for the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then? That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliography. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no.
Oh dear.
Mr. Garrideb, the landlord. Ah, tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Garrideb, a retired military man.
It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Institution that is in the services.
And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid.
Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain Premier.
I don't know. Let me just see. Let me go back. Great Britain Primer. Yeah. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing. Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family.
Goodness, how extraordinary.
Except if you're Magnus McGilden, in which case you ride the public omnibus. As you can appreciate, for those on the precocious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs, specifically in the retired army veteran, Mr. John Garrideb. Oh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as of yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. The dingy room. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab someone sooner or later.
Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one!
Have you not seen his crazy eyes, Susato? I stared into those things and I was going straight to the maelstrom. I saw the vortexes of hell in those eyes. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said.
I don't believe that's the issue here.
About this dark little room, Mr. Holmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window? Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax. Amen? Yeah, see, I know my stuff. I know history. Window tax? What is that?
Surely, not a tax on windows.
Yes, a tax on windows. Precisely that.
Oh my goodness!
Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the numbers of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up, while the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money.
How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light.
And then meanwhile, there's me who keeps blinds up on all my windows in my bedroom. Really, if you were to go into my bedroom, you would not see any natural light coming from those windows because I have photophobia, which basically means that I am especially sensitive to sunlight. In fact, whenever I go out, it doesn't matter how long I'm outside, I have to wear a pair of sunglasses or else I'm completely blinded by the sun, even if I'm not looking directly at the sun or anywhere near the sun. Just the sunlight itself is blinding. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago, or thereabout, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for a living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done a little digging and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price.
Because the room is so awful, I should think.
Apparently, Mr. Natsume only moved here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of these accommodations. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here. A matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruto. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remember that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? I am not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I naturally defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? And then meanwhile, Phoenix gets, and then 100 years later, Phoenix takes on Matt Unguard's case, and Ryuunosuke is just shaking his head. And then Pearl,
Mr. Nick?
What is it, Pearl?
There's a creepy ghost guy shaking his head at you and glaring at you.
Yes, trust. Mr. Holmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention, but there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts I can say quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room. There are witnesses who swear to have seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, And one more thing.
Oh? What is it, Mr. Holmes? Tell us!
I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is relevant to the case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns his property is hiding something. Mr. Garrideb is... Mr. Holmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyways, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case.
Mr. Naruto, as yet our investigation have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence.
No, you're right. Or really any evidence for that matter. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garrideb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you success, of course, Mr. Naruto. I'm going to need Tums after this recording because I am getting serious heartburn and acid reflux right now. Oh, the back of my throat is burning. You ever have a sour burp and you just burp up acid? A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Mr. Garrideb's room. 19th of February. Mr. Garrideb's room. You pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there?
Mr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Holmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... For the umpteenth time, woman, will you watch what... can you watch what you're bawling while doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Yes, of course. And it shall contain extra arsenic. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave if you be so kind.
Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance.
Not at all, not at all. Don't get much of a chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck, all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out. According to Mr. Holmes, Mr. Garrideb is hiding something. And since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Such as... Okay, sorry. Such as look at Sherlock, who is somehow teleported here and is attempting to go out the window. What's he doing over there? Hey, Naruto! I smoked a bunch of opium and I think I can fly now!
Mr. Holmes!
We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious! When did you sneak in here? I can teleport. Opium does that for me. Sherlock Holmes at your service. Whatever are you doing over by the window? I am given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such an observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space from the window up there. Well, keeping an eye on to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. And one other thing, Mr. Naruto. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about, is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. It's like Ryuunosuke is having flashbacks. He has PTSD. This is the war. The war in Ryuunosuke's head.
Do you mean, Mr. Holmes?
There's a mighty secret in this mortis room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruto. I think so. There's just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let's conclude the matter before dark. And conclude before the end of this episode. And conclude before ending the episode off. Mr. Garrideb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one would call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it's all too clear to me that you are a slumlord. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon? The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. Eh? And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you've lost something very dear to you.
Mr. Naruto, look!
The old man's broke out in a cold sweat. Unbelievable. It seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusion are both spot on. How could you possibly? How could I possibly know? You mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Nature of the beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? For a man with military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garrideb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle I ask of you? In the end, your admiration be of so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. What? Yeah, basically, Garrideb is so shocked he has a stroke in his chair. Yes, that Sherlock Holmes kills a man. He kills a man with faulty logic. Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madame? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to see with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to where this beast's current whereabouts are. For protruding from this hand-built advertising a circus show. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garrideb, at Batty's Circus. A traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I had made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lions prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. A rampaging Asiatic lion. Aftermath. Now, Mr. Garrideb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavily on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid feats of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible on your visage. Nonsense, man! I simply... But what, we must now ask ourselves, is the true cause of this pain? And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, this pile of bills has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. Notice how I use my goggles to zoom in on the paper. It's that important. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well, Now, in the final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable coughing fit. Unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive wooden carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh, dearie me! What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Oh! This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. You're wondering how I settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of this carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. Oh! There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain nobleman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cakes, the beast had begun to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There is only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks on the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Carpet gnawed on by the starving lion. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Just everyone is speechless. No one can respond. Ah! What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garrideb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times too, though not for the reasons you'd expect, Holmes. Oh! Mr. Shom, sorry to butt in again, but can I make an observation? Why suddenly, Mr. Naruto? What is it again? Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the fact. Meanwhile, in the pits of hell, just McGill, he's like, oh please, I fit 20 lions in a room that size. It was magnificent. I an army of lions, and they attack anyone who got in my way. And I made the lions dance with the shirtless men. Indeed, the only explanation for the fact. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garrideb and his maid would have been hurt, or worse. Ah, that's where you're stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. He fought it shirtless. He ripped off his shirt and said, "Come at me!" And he fought the lion. He punched the lion. They had a fight. He snapped the lion's neck. He snapped it in twain and then tossed out the window. I thought you said that he sold the lion to the circus. He blasted the lion, then sold it to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I had ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. It's a sophisticated British lion. It was raised to drink tea. Ah, my dear Miss Usato, it occurs to me with some regularity, that irrespective of race or breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea.
Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruto, it's your turn to shine again.
I had a feeling that was coming.
A slight massage. That's all Mr. Shom's deductions need. You can do it.
Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deductions to step forward, Mr. Naruto. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, wherever the motivations. Yeah, Ryuunosuke just can't stand idly by while Holmes makes all these crackpot deductions. At least that's what I want to believe. Let us start again! But first, I have to take a hit of this opium pipe. The opium helps clear my mind and opens into new realms of possibility. Of Sherlock Holmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold him, Mr. Holmes. The rampaging lion. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see. That a fearsome beast had been on a rampage of late within these four walls. Thus, we are faced with a question. What form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garrideb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. I really didn't see the lion thing coming.
No, but if you observe Mr. Garrideb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did run amok in this room.
Yes, something with a very fierce nature.
But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India.
So what was it then?
We must follow Mr. Garrideb's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer.
The photo. Let's check the photo. What is this photograph?
It appears to be from Mr. Garrideb's wedding.
He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride.
No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face.
I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply here.
The glass was broken. You can't see the bride's face at all.
But no amount of cracks could hide this woman's plump form.
I think powerful would be kinder than plump, Mr. Naruto.
Yes, she certainly looks that. There's a lot of horsepower there. Not someone you'd want to upset, that's for sure.
Oh, look! Have you noticed that her wedding ring? It's very large, isn't it?
Yes, it's an unusual design.
It looks like some kind of embellished sunflower.
Take that! Change the future. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruto. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garrideb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. Honored might be stretching a point. Too late! The fact remains that this beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garrideb. Duh! The chilling traces of a wild rampage are so very much in evidence. Well... Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts.
The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is besides herself.
Well, I don't know about fragile.
Oh, dear. Anyways, Mr. Holmes is quite right. There's no sign of Mr. Garrideb anywhere.
But it would seem there may be clues to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Garrideb's wife could be. Okay, present here. Your wedding ring gives a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Oh! Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garrideb's bride in the photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garrideb's lucky bride. You are Miss Garrideb herself. Oh my word! mind detecting, sir? As you rightfully surmise, this is the wife, yes, my Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally corkerback. Ah! It would appear that you didn't live the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man is his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid as his employ.
Yes, here in London, one is rather judged.
A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are folly. You mean Mr. Garrideb has his wife work as his maid? Precisely! Am I right, Mr. Garrideb? Only in company, obviously, but listen here. This must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please! The raging wife of Mr. Garrideb. Now, Mr. Garrideb, it's plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress has lost. This loss has caused you is verbatimly tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain on you being revealed by the supporting arm. Mr. Shoulders is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garrideb's wife a beast.
Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable.
But Mr. Garrideb is standing beside her husband. But Miss Garrideb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he?
Oh, how true! So perhaps that supporting arm seems to be supporting up his hand. Has some other significance then.
According to Mr. Schultz, Mr. Garrideb's pain is tangible, though. What could the pose of his really signify? Okay, I just want to see. Slap cheek.
Take that!
Yeah, he got a pearly slap. He got knocked unconscious with but one slap. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by a slap cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade was you, Madam Joan Garrideb. Well, yes, but that's not me, I swear. You see, my husband was hit by a baseball. You have been desperate to hide that slap mark on your cheek, sir. How the blazes? How did you work that out, man? Oh, I just assumed that giant handprints on your face are the new fashion sense. They're chic. Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garrideb to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it's a spiral of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer.
Didn't Mr. Sholmes say the bills were all for lion fodder?
Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed. Which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all the food was Mr. Garrideb's wife.
Mr. Naruto, she's a person, not a thing! You're canceled, Naruto! You're canceled!
Yes, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact.
Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder?
I'd love to know the answer to that question.
someone's reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here. Look, Mr. Garrideb is clearly an avid reader.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary.
And look next to the signature there.
Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, with a passionate romantic gesture.
Don't get any ideas, Susato-san.
Oh, dear, I'm sorry.
So this bookmark is actually a love note then. Hey.
Take that!
Yes, this is the yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionately indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here. Ah! But I didn't know that bally woman. You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I didn't know how it got there. It was just there, you say. Right. Sir, can we pull down your pants to see if there's any other lipstick present? That's right, that's what I'm trying to say. Ah! Unlikely story. Now listen here, Joan, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought that book at the second-hand place, and that note was already there. So the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? So you mean, so the previous owner of the book was using that note as a bookmark, you mean? That's right, that's what it does. Hey! Unlikely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you've forgotten, is John. Unlikely story. That's your alter persona. Are you questioning my name now? And there we have it. Arouse the suspicion of the female's heart and release a beast with the most ferocious bite. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over here. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh, dearie me! What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dice straight there, the carpet, we don't look at this tower of cakes.
But surely Mr. Garrideb didn't eat the carpet.
No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of the disarray in this room is the result of a wild temper.
No, that's not true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction that we need to fix. We need only follow Miss Garrideb's gaze, and that will tell us the real answer.
All right, let's see what we can see.
Yes.
The carpet here has been ripped to shreds.
Yes, according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, the tear marks match the tears match those made by an Indian lion's teeth exactly.
Oh, look here.
What is it?
If you look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks.
Oh yes, you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in the normal sense at all.
Let's rethink this with that in mind.
Take that!
Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow. And of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? Scorch marks? It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Miss Garrideb's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of a strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds, the carpet was alight and the whole corner of the room was in flames. Yes, For the most ferocious beast in the world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful wind, but fire! And in this room, that ferocious beast buried its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. You see, there's but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discord, this room was the scene of a fire. Mr. Holmes, sir, I salute you! We killed a man. Carpet scorched by a small fire. Deduction complete. Elementary. It's these dash-long winter nights, you know? Nothing to do but reinforce the fire and end the episode off. Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer, and I hope you come back for the next one. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do everything you want. With that, I'll see you next time. Bye.